So I just wanted to pick up from a point that was raised earlier by Sir David about the role of non-traditional threats in international competition. And I wonder whether you could share your thoughts on whether you see emerging international competition progressively moving away from kinetic confrontation into other means of competition.
Well, we have seen very much the advent of enormous competition and activity just ongoing on a daily basis innumerable times, of course, in cyberspace. This takes the form of cyber attacks, it takes the form of cyber crime, it takes the form of information warfare, some of which is intended to undermine our democratic institutions, sometimes to put a finger on the scales of a particular election, as Russia certainly tried to do, both of those latter two, of course, in the election of 2016. But there are other areas, of course, in which competition is also fierce. I don't know that I'd say that they're non-traditional. I think there's always been economic competition. There has always been competition in certain areas of trade. There is competition actually anew about the systems of choosing government and also of economics, if you will. It turns out that Francis Fukuyama's brilliant essay back in 1989, I think it was, The End of History, and he defined history, of course, as the evolution of systems to elect governance and run economies. And he predicted, rightly it turned out, that if you will, the US-led Western sort of liberal democratically elected governance and free market economics would ultimately prevail over the Soviet command economy and Communist Party. And of course, that proved true. It was huge. That journal exploded in its subscribership. He got a book deal. And, it proved true probably for 15 or 20 years, but it is not true now. I think there actually is renewed competition between that particular system that he proclaimed as was the zenith of achievement in that area, and frankly, the way that China governs and has managed its economy. Let's not overlook the fact that no country in history, no reasonably sized country at least, has ever remotely achieved what China achieved in the first 41 years since Deng Xiaoping welcomed the world to China and opened China to business, trade, and so forth, and investment. It's unparalleled. It's nothing remotely approaches that. And I think it's reasonable to then put forward that, we've done a pretty good job of this, they might say, and contrast that with how you're doing. And so I think there is a competition there. I firmly side with Churchill, who, among one of his many quotes, said that democracy is the worst form of government except for all the others. But that said, you cannot deny that there is a legitimate competition ongoing even in that sphere. So again, we do see new domains in which this competition is taking place. First and foremost, cyberspace, which is an entire domain of warfare now. In fact, it's not conceivable to imagine conflict, physical conflict, war, irregular warfare, whatever, not having activity in that domain, as it is indeed having activity, say, in the front lines, in the air, at sea, in space, and perhaps subsea. So all of this, I think, means that we have much more complex forms of competition in the future than we have in the past. And that is, I think, a distinctly new feature of not just warfare, but of competition between different states and between different systems.
Absolutely. And this is one of the things